Is reacting to recent developments in Myanmar, the National Unity Government and the People's Defense Force. By editor, Zalingam Media. February 22nd, 2025. Since the military coup in Myanmar on February 1st, 2021, the country has been plunged into a deep political and humanitarian crisis. The military junta's seizure of power led to widespread protests and the subsequent formation of the National Unity Government, NUG, which declared itself the legitimate government of Myanmar. In response, various ethnic armed groups and civilians formed the People's Defense Force, PDF, aiming to dismantle the military dictatorship and restore democracy. As Myanmar continues its descent into conflict, the NUG and PDF have become central figures in the fight against the military junta. This article seeks to explore the recent developments in Myanmar under the leadership of the National Unity Government, NUG, and the People's Defense Force, PDF, evaluating their strategies, challenges, and prospects for the future. It also looks at the broader international implications of the ongoing crisis in Myanmar. Schwurich, the political context. From coup to resistance. The military coup in Myanmar overthrew the civilian government led by Aung San Suu Kyi and her National League for Democracy, NLD. The Tatmadaw military detained key political leaders and imposed a state of emergency. This led to nationwide protests, strikes, and civil disobedience, with people from various walks of life demanding the restoration of democracy. The military junta responded with increasing violence, including the use of live ammunition against peaceful protesters, mass arrests, and torture. By April 2021, in response to the coup, pro-democracy leaders and ethnic armed organizations formed the National Unity Government, NUG. The NUG comprises elected members of parliament, ethnic representatives, and activists who refuse to recognize the junta's legitimacy. The NUG declared itself as the rightful government of Myanmar, appealing to the international community for support. The NUG also established the People's Defense Force, PDF, as its military wing to directly combat the military regime. The role of the National Unity Government, NUG. The National Unity Government has been at the heart of Myanmar's resistance to the junta. The NUG is composed of politicians, ethnic minority leaders, and civil society members who reject the military's rule. Their primary goal is to restore democracy in Myanmar and end the military junta's control. Since its formation, the NUG has struggled to establish control over the majority of Myanmar's territory. The military junta retains authority in major urban areas, including the capital, Naypyidaw, and the commercial hub Yangon. However, the NUG has successfully consolidated support in various ethnic regions where the military's presence is weaker. The NUG's ability to form alliances with ethnic armed groups, including the Karen National Union, KNU, the Kachin Independence Army, KIA, and the Chin National Army, CNA, has been crucial in establishing its influence. The NUG has taken a diplomatic approach to garner international recognition and support. It has appealed to the United Nations, Western governments, and regional organizations like the Association of Southeast Asian Nations, ASEAN, to isolate the junta diplomatically, despite facing significant challenges in gaining formal recognition. The NUG has been successful in obtaining moral support from key international players. However, material support such as arms and financial aid remains limited, and this has hampered the NUG's ability to wage a more successful military campaign against the junta. The People's Defense Force, PDF, a military resistance. The People's Defense Force, PDF, was formed as the military arm of the nest. It consists of civilians who have taken up arms to fight against the junta's brutal regime. Initially composed of volunteers with little military experience, the PDF has grown significantly in both size and capability. Over the years, the PDF has undergone training, establish command structures, and develop tactics to counter the military junta. In the early stages of its formation, the PDF primarily carried out guerrilla-style operations, launching surprise attacks on military checkpoints, supply convoys, and police stations. However, as the conflict has evolved, the PDF has gained greater sophistication, incorporating advanced tactics such as ambushes, sabotage, and sniper operations. The PDF has been particularly successful in rural and ethnic minority areas where local armed groups already had a presence. These groups, including the KNU, the KIA, and the Shan State Army, SSA, have offered training, weapons, and logistical support to the PDF. This collaboration has enabled the PDF to escalate its attacks on military targets. Despite the military's overwhelming advantage in terms of equipment and manpower, the PDF's ability to strike at key military installations has made it a significant force in the ongoing civil war. Recent operations and successes. The People's Defense Force has achieved notable successes against the junta's forces, particularly in the form of ambushes and surprise attacks. In April 2024, the PDF launched an unprecedented drone attack on Aitlar Air Base, one of the main military strongholds in Myanmar. The drone strike, which involved the deployment of more than 30 drones, targeted the junta's leadership and military facilities. Although the military claimed to have shot down several drones, the attack was seen as a significant escalation in the resistance's tactics. It marked a shift from traditional ground warfare to more technologically advanced forms of resistance. The PDF's continued attacks on military convoys, infrastructure, and communication lines have inflicted significant damage on the junta's logistical capabilities. And in addition to targeting military personnel, the PDF has also attacked economic facilities linked to the junta's financial interests, such as timber processing plants and oil refineries. The PDF's actions have disrupted the military's supply chains and funding, further weakening the junta's control. Humanitarian crisis and civilian suffering. The ongoing conflict has taken a devastating toll on the civilian population. According to the United Nations, more than 4 million people have been displaced due to the violence, and the humanitarian situation continues to deteriorate. Over 500,000 people have been forced to flee their homes, and many have sought refuge in neighboring countries, particularly Thailand and India. The junta has been accused of committing atrocities against civilians, including airstrikes on villages, arbitrary arrests, torture, and extrajudicial killings. In contrast, the PDF and ethnic armed groups have been criticized for some human rights abuses, though these claims remain less widely documented. The civilian population in Myanmar has borne the brunt of the conflict, with thousands of lives lost and millions more affected by violence, displacement, and economic hardship. International response and diplomatic challenges. International responses to the crisis in Myanmar have been mixed. The United Nations has condemned the military coup and called for the restoration of democracy in Myanmar. However, the UN has been largely ineffective in stopping the violence or compelling the military to relinquish power. Regional actors such as ASEAN have called for dialogue between the junta and the NUG, but the military's refusal to engage with the opposition has stymied diplomatic efforts. Sanctions imposed by Western countries have targeted Myanmar's military leaders and key sectors of the economy, including the oil and gas industry. However, these sanctions have had limited impact as Myanmar's military continues to receive support from China and Russia, both of whom have blocked strong UN Security Council action against Myanmar. China, in particular, has maintained close ties with the military junta, prioritizing its strategic interests in the region. The NUG has sought to bypass traditional diplomatic channels and build a broad coalition of international support for its cause. While it has gained some recognition from international human rights organizations, the NUG continues to struggle in terms of securing material support, particularly arms and funds. The lack of international recognition and assistance has been a significant challenge for the NUG and PDF in their fight against the military. Surat Ropes. Prospects for peace and resolution. The prospects for peace in Myanmar remain uncertain. The NUG has proposed a 12-point plan to block the junta's planned elections in 2025, which they view as a sham to legitimize the military's rule. The PDF has pledged to prevent the junta from holding elections, including by attacking polling stations and candidates. While the military junta has stated that elections will take place in only half of Myanmar's townships, many analysts view this as an attempt to consolidate military control while giving the illusion of political legitimacy. The NUG's call for international support remains a key factor in the conflict. While the military junta's hold on power remains firm in urban centers, the NUG and PDF continue to enjoy the support of significant portions of the population, particularly in ethnic regions. However, without substantial international backing, it is unclear whether the NUG and PDF can achieve their ultimate goal of removing the military from power and restoring democracy. For a conclusion, Myanmar's political and military landscape remains deeply divided as the country continues to grapple with the aftermath of the 2021 coup. The National Unity Government and the People's Defense Force have become central figures in the struggle for democracy, fighting against a well-equipped military junta. Despite significant challenges, including limited international recognition, a humanitarian crisis, and a lack of resources, the NUG and PDF have made substantial strides in resisting the junta and rallying support from the people of Myanmar. The conflict, however, shows no signs of resolution in the near future. With the military determined to hold elections in 2025 and the resistance forces pledging to disrupt them, the country appears headed for more violence and instability. The international community's role in supporting Myanmar's pro-democracy movement will be critical in determining the future of the country and its people. Sources: Reuters, Amnesty International, the Irrawaddy, The Guardian, the Associated Press. Note: this article is based on information available up to February 22nd, 2025. For the most current updates, please refer to the latest news sources. Thank you for watching. Please do share the video if you haven't subscribed to our channel. Please subscribe now. Your support to the channel is much appreciated. See you. Bye for now. Thank you all.